The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
Hi, welcome back. This is Arlene and you are still with me on the Durian Heat. We're also with Yasmin Rashid, founder of EcoKnights, Ashari Rahman, permaculture enthusiast, and we had been discussing a lot on urban farming, and obviously that he has been, it has been such a successful way being promoted to people in the urban area, and of course with people like Yasmin and Ashari, they are working hard to make this as part of the habits or lifestyle of the urban society. But the problem is there are still people who are not buying it. It's not because they don't believe in urban farming or the benefit of it. Is there are other various reasons. Either they are too lazy, or they don't have time, or they don't have space, or many other reasons. But if you were to let the audience know what is the best motivation for people to pick up urban farming, what would that be?
Best motivation?
Yeah. If I don't have time, I don't have any know-how on doing urban farming, and I'm virtually do not know what to do with it.
Okay.
Like,
I think the best motivation, but first, before you don't worry that what you're going to be doing, of course you want it to be successful, but don't worry about it failing. Right? Don't worry about it falling apart, and don't worry about being small as well. I think one of the things people that whenever we want to start something, we want to do something, when we do a project, we want to do something that's like, okay, besar and big, and like
we always think big first, but
right? But it's important that we start small, like a small patch outside, or a small pot of whatever vegetables.
So that's how you started to actually enjoy and be part of your lifestyle.
So you start bit by bit, right? Motivation wise, it can be so many things. You want to do it for you want to do it as part of caring for the environment. You want to do it as part of caring for yourself. You want to do it as part of sharing with others. But I think it's important to if you want to go big and do all this, you have a community to do it, great. Make sure everybody's on the same page, because I've seen communities that got together, started something beautiful, and then that sort of died down. And there are many reasons. There's nobody, you cannot fault anyone in this. But sometimes it's also recognizing what we can manage as city folk as well. You're right. I don't think it's laziness so much as it is also. I don't think it's laziness as so much. It's more so. You've got so much going on.
Yeah,
you
that's
work
true.
at 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 but 95 Malaysians probably. I know most people stay in the office until late.
And the traffic jams.
And then you want to go out, meet your friends. It's kind of. It's not very convenient for a lot of people, and I get that. So that's why you start small. Start with something you can manage. Start with something. Let's say I can put aside 5 minutes a day. So what can you do in 5 minutes a day to start farming? You can grow sprouts and have microgreens. Some friends of mine at Eat Shoots and Roots, I think they're promoting microgreens. Microgreens are just when the plant is just sprouting, you can harvest and eat that, and then you replant it again. So that's quite nutritious. Eat Shoots and Roots also do a lot of, I think, helping people on becoming more sustainable. I think there's another organization called Ecocentric Transitions. So there's a lot of people out there who want to help people change their lifestyle. So bit by bit.
So there's a lot of organization out there.
Yeah, I think if you're looking for motivation, they're everywhere around you. But what is oddly is, like, despite the fact that information like this or organizations like this exist around you, it's still a challenge to push parts of society to take that move from, oh, this is a great idea, it's great, I don't mind healthy food, to actually doing it by themselves. And I think it's partially also because we like to have human interaction. So for people who say, I don't have time to do this, I don't have time to be an urban farmer and all that, that you can still take that first step by being associated with some of these farms. Perhaps visit one for a try, and see how it's being managed, and see what part about the farm that resonates with you the most. Another second option is maybe just try purchasing some of these things that come from farms. If consuming it and you can feel that it tastes better or makes you feel healthier, and I think those two actions can be a strong catalyst to finally encouraging someone to pick up this skill. And I'm saying this because I think I started off that way first. I had friends that were into this, and I thought I'll go check it out. It's something new to me, but I'm always nothing harmful about learning something new.
Yeah.
And then when you go to an area and you see how confined spaces can be beautifully crafted to be active food production units, and you go like, and that's when your motivation kicks in. And then when motivation kicks in, you need to take the next step, which is learn about what other steps that is within your grasp or within your comfort zone that you can start doing. And for me, from I have preference to not touch the soil. So that's why I'm a convert to aquaponics, because for me it's movable, it's mobile. It can be modular. It's like for me I know my laziness level, right? It seemed to be a system which I can set aside 5-10 minutes a day, and that's it. You pay a little bit of electricity at the end of the month, but at the end of the day, it's so fulfilling to see something grow. And maybe it's psychological, I don't know. It's somehow the kangkong that we fry when we harvest it does taste different.
I see.
I have no way to verify it, you know.
I was about to mention about you asking about motivation.
Yeah.
That's actually one of it. Probably one of the biggest, right? When you
It's the
grow,
taste of the food.
not just the taste, but then you know that you grew this and you're eating it now. And then if you have extra, you share with friends, like, hey, I grew this in my garden.
Yeah.
Right?
I remember a few months ago when we ran a make your own indoor garden workshop, terrarium. This girl came, and she the workshop didn't start. She came every half hour checking when it was going to start. And when it started, she had her first terrarium, and she went up to Awang and she hugged him and cried. This is my first time. I've always wanted to do this, but I never knew where to go or who to go. And now you're holding this mobile garden which you made with love. Obviously, you can tell she poured into her heart into making it. And you see that light in her face, and that made us all think, if only 10% of everyone we see can understand that this is not a hippie thing, this is not a tree hugger thing, this is actually just giving a whole new experience.
A new way of looking at city life or city lifestyle.
We were hunters and gatherers, you know. It's quite sad we've lost that skill.
Yeah.
Because now we drive cars instead of ride horses in search of
We rely
food.
too much on the global supply chain to get food, but we don't realize that food is not. It's actually easy to get in our own backyard. And I want to highlight one thing: we spend most of our time in the office. At least most of Malaysians. Companies, also catching up with this, as in like instead of growing it in your backyard or in your farm, in your house. Do you see people actually growing it in the office, in the company?
Actually, DHL was just there a week ago for a training, and they converted the rooftop. Ecocentrics did the rooftop into an edible garden, and it was they felt it was transformational because you have employees taking time to go visit the garden, tinker with it a little bit, water it. And this is very intangible. Maybe it's also a secret getaway, a therapeutic way of just being surrounded with greens and things that grow. It makes you feel alive.
It would be a great idea because a lot of people spend their time in the office, and of course, being in the office for too long, it can be very, you can be stuck in a rut. That sort of feeling. And do you see companies looking at urban farming as part of their CSR, I suppose.
Very much.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned earlier on, more developers. I think because they have space. We're getting quite a bit of inquiries as well. Even schools. Can I say schools?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
International schools.
Yeah, schools. I think one of the things that PopTani does is so we design and we have off-the-shelf aquaponic units for indoor, for apartment balconies, and like for outdoor gardens. But we also sort of like design and build systems and units. So we have had some inquiries. Actually, I think there will be some projects that will be starting soon. I'm excited about it, but I don't want to talk about it so much just yet. You know what I'm saying?
Just the surface.
Yeah, surface. So like small mini urban farms in community spaces, like in schools or in community areas where they have several aquaponic units, and the kids or the community members can start farming fish and vegetables together. So yes, I think CSR part, it's something that's definitely doable. But then apart from DHL and much, I don't think I'm aware enough.
You remember? So last year we worked with a shipping company.
Oh wow.
That was having an impact on a group of indigenous communities, and the indigenous community economically they rely on fishing, but because fishing wasn't a viable economic income generating tool, they started a restaurant, and as part of the CSR, aquaponics were installed there. So that they could farm freshwater fish.
Oh wow.
And also have saltwater fish, and most importantly, able to reduce the expenditure or time to go to the market to buy leafy greens, but instead produce it themselves. And aquaponics, I think, is a very versatile system because it's not just about fish. It's also, you can grow lobsters, prawns.
Oh my god.
So depending on what is more income generating.
Yeah, the freshwater crayfishes, yes, that's being grown, and then freshwater prawns as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love prawn?
It's probably got a higher economic value if
Yeah.
you know how to, maximize the potential of your aquaponic system.
I see. So actually, growing your own food or your own seafood in this case, actually would be you would be able to reduce your costs or your monthly costs of expenditure. Would that be true? Or you still need to invest in certain tools, certain energy?
Theoretically, yes.
Yeah. How you eat the urban farming or growing things at home. See, things like this, they can be as simple or as complex as you want them to be. And based on how you plan it out, they can be as saving your money, or it can be quite wasteful. Like sometimes people who suddenly get really into it, they're like, oh my god, I love doing this, and they start adding stuff. They buy imported fertilizers and and imported seeds and stuff like that. So then it sort of depends on what you want out of it, right? Do you want to grow food for your family to eat? Or do you want to do this as a hobby? Do you want to share with people? Aquaponic systems, yes, PopTani, we do sell ready-made units, but you can DIY it at home. It can be really cheap as well. Even like setting up your garden, you can scout around for old bricks to make a grow bed, or you can go and buy a pot from the nursery, which will cost you some money. So it depends on how you want to do it. And yes, in the long run, if you want to do it to save money, it can save money.
I see.
Right?
It can.
Yeah.
But are you guys a competition to the existing city farmers or farmers in Malaysia?
Oh, I don't know.
Don't know, but I don't.
So
think
far, there's no complaint, I suppose.
No,
because
the thing is, I think most of this information we're sharing here are stuff that you can get online, and it's open source. But what we're trying to do is also try to shake the ecosystem a little bit by getting people to realize that knowledge is already there. Technology is, it's not really high tech. It's really simple.
You can, information is at your fingertip. You
That
can just go
sounds
there
like we're
and
in
do
the
it.
business of motivation. Motivating people to pick it up.
And I think competition, not so much lah. I don't think so. I think it can be competition if people want to look at it that way, but it can also be a great opportunity for collaboration. Because the more you have people growing food at home, right? And then they start sharing with each other. They don't just share the food that they grow, but they also share I grew
Tips,
this
is
chili
it?
plant. Yeah, tips. And this is how I made it work, or this was what I did that and that didn't work. So information is being shared around. So you have people who are more aware and know more about their own food. So I think one thing it can do for farmers as well, besides just maybe information sharing, they also know, hey, people are being more aware of this. How can I then up my game as well? What can I do with what I'm already doing now? Should I farm? Maybe I can implement commercial scale aquaponic systems. Then people know it's organic, but I can still grow them cheaply, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Essentially, it's a movement. So it's really about even if people are competing, saying my system is better than yours, eventually it's towards something positive, making sure food is produced healthily, good quality, and produced at the right amount where people are not starving outside. So even if it's competition out there, I think it's healthy competition. Essentially, how do we then evolve this competition into creating a change in society where we're not so detached from food growing anymore? So it's kind of like reviving back an old skill we used to have that we have kind of lost over centuries because of modernity. Or maybe it's the Industrial Revolution. Just food is produced quicker because there's chemicals involved. Things grow faster. You can just pump some injection in it and stuff. But now it's at the end of the day when the food comes on a plate in front of you, we don't have microscopic eyes to see where was this animal treated well before, or was this vegetable sprayed with harmful pesticides, and we can't tell. And I think that's the part that we hope people listening in will realize, that it's okay to question about where food comes. It's okay to demand for healthier food. And it's okay also to pick up a new skill where you are more in control of what goes inside your stomach.
So which countries around the world that is leading in this culture, this urban farming culture?
Thailand, certain parts of remote communities, Detroit.
I'd say Malaysia can be. Can definitely be. I'm not so sure which country is leading, because it doesn't seem like a governmental country effort sort of thing, but more like a grassroots people. You would see people into urban farming almost everywhere you go, I think. And it's picking up all over the world. I think it's becoming sort of like a global movement. Speaking of global movement, Taman Tun, the community in Taman Tun started this transition TTDI movement. So it's part of the global transition town movement. Have you guys spoke about this before?
Not really.
So basically, it's so it ties back to urban farming. It ties back to grassroots community wanting to transition out of or from the current status quo to something that's more sustainable in a fun way. Because a lot of times when people talk about
sustainability and all that,
people talk about global warming. People talk about all this peak oil and a lot of not very nice things are going to happen. It can sometimes seem very doom and gloom, And I think that's for some people it might be a motivating factor to then go out and do something. But for some people it can be very depressing as well. So how do you then make this transition into sustainable lifestyle fun and interesting for people? So that's what the transition movement is about from all over the world. And you see communities popping up, transition towns, transition neighborhoods, and people do they look into how they can make transport more sustainable. They look into how they make energy systems more sustainable. They look into how to make food more sustainable. And when it comes to food, that's where community gardens start popping up and urban farms start popping up, right? And how a lot of this are interrelated. When you say butter is an old thing, I think nowadays a lot of people are calling it local energy transfer system.
What is
let's.
oh yeah.
Yeah, so I've got a skill. I can share my skill with you for
It's more politically correct, I guess.
for whatever goods or services you can trade back lah. So macam, you know, I'll help you paint your house, and then I'm gonna help myself with some of the mangoes you're growing at the back.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, urban farming is all about the community, and it's not just about the family. But can urban agriculture address issues like food security? Because in the future, the climate might get warmer or cooler. We don't know. Climate change can come anytime. Would this address, the larger picture, or the break in the supply chain of food? It might happen one day. So how?
That's one interesting topic, because I think as much as we're trying to talk about the benefits of farming or benefits of sustainable food production, there are also a lot of governments and even institutes that are looking at preservation of the genetic material of past, present, and potentially future crops. So there are many big projects, like in Norway. Even in Malaysia, we actually have a gene bank where we keep all the genetic material of every single strain of rice that we grow in Malaysia. And why this is important is because, like you said, if there is a 2-degree change in temperature in the next 5 years, this could lead to a change in the physical environment. So maybe the soil composition might change as well. So meaning what we grow as a strain of rice today may not grow well in the future because of that change in the soil or even in the environment. So there are already people keeping all this genetic material in secret vaults for fear that, should the apocalypse come one day, we're able to save humanity by reaching to this vault and getting enough genetic materials to start growing.
Sounds like a Hollywood movie in the making.
It sounds so sci-fi, but
but then we do have like I know this guy who does seed banks, living seed banks of forest trees that are.
Carrie Fowler.
No, this Malaysian guy.
Malaysian guy.
Dr. Zaiman Zulkifli from TRCRC.
Yeah.
So a lot of Malaysians are doing something to care about the environment, to care about the food security that might happen in the future. We don't know.
It's just that maybe it's very hard to imagine or fathom what kind of situation will we get ourselves into where we actually have to live like that. And we've already got live examples in Detroit, for instance, where the whole city went bankrupt and collapsed, but not everyone had the money or the resources to move to a better city. Many of them were second generation, car company workers there. But what they had was access to information, hands, tools, and land. So when your will to survive, when your willpower, or you just don't have money to buy food, but you need to grow food, kind of like that movie Martian, right? And from not knowing about farming to now producing enough, and now this is actually attracting more people back to Detroit, because it seemed like with just basic knowledge of this and with a strong supportive community, you can live at almost no cost. If everyday food is covered because it's grown, then you save economically and maybe you can use it for other avenues.
That's an interesting point. I saw this poster. I can't remember where. It says like, when did we start? When was it that human beings needed to pay to exist? It's kind of interesting. Macam
when frozen food started to become a thing.
Probably, right? So yeah. You can see the connection there. So I suppose this idea, movement, concept is just because we like what Yasmin said, we're discovering back that we can be quite independent, and we can, and if we can cover the basics of what we need, then we can start building a society where we can actually start helping everyone else live a better life lah.
But it's hard, Arlene. It's challenging, and I mean, you're speaking to two person right here, but I think there's also thousands of people out there that are facing these challenges. To how do you change people? How do you get people to look at farming from a different perspective, in a positive light, instead of just shunning it away at first sight? And our children, how do we want our children to grow? I remember 12 years ago when I spoke to 14-year-olds in a school, and I asked them where French fries come from. And in a split second, everyone said McDonald's, which is true. You synonymously relate French fries to fast food joints. But then I asked them, think deeper, what was the source of French fries? And then it took them a little bit longer, a minute, and one kid said potatoes. And then the next slide I had was 3 images of plants. None of them could identify which was a potato plant.
Wow.
This was a decade ago. And in the Western world, this is what you call nature deficit disorder. It's like
you are completely detached of
Totally.
the environment.
Yeah. Malaysian kids, if you see Singaporean kids, they're even more detached. I ran a camp once, and these girls were running away from a goat. They actually thought their lives were under threat. I mean, mind you, it was a scary goat with horns, and later on we explained this is a domesticated farm animal called a goat, and you consume it, mutton curry. And they were all like, wow, yeah, we know mutton. But they didn't realize how mutton looked like before it was mutton. So they've never seen a goat in their lives.
So there's a lot of I think value and knowledge that we can learn from urban farming. Unfortunately, this is the end of the show. We have a lot to talk about. Maybe we can have another show on urban farming, just talk about the future of it and how we can enhance it in schools and other institutions. I just want to say thank you for both of our guests today.
Thank you, Arlene, for having us.
Thank you, Arlene.